So Mattel usually releases one giant carnivore each year. So I am hoping, fingers crossed, that next year we'll get the Indominus Rex. That is the other giant carnivore we need before we move on to Rebirth and future movies. But the Indominus is the last one we need of the current lineup of giant figures, and I'm hoping we're gonna get one, because that one's, I can already tell you, is gonna be the best Indominus we've ever gotten from Mattel. Hello everybody, the Great Dino Ranger here again, back with another video. Finally, I know it has been a good while since my last video, but here we have something very special to take a look at here on this channel, and I'm super excited to have it. And we're gonna be taking a look at the new Jurassic World Hammond collection Indominus Rex. So this is a freshly released figure. This released at the point of recording this on Monday, because right now it is Friday, and yeah, I'm super excited to have this in my hand. We got the new big Hammond collection figure for 2026, and that is the Indominus Rex, and this thing just looks amazing in box. I can't wait to get a closer look at it when I take it out of the box. Huge shout out to my brother who found this at a Target, and yeah, and here it is in all of its glory for this review. And yeah, I'm just super stoked to have this. I know this figure is a bit controversial with a lot of fans. I know some people have a lot of complaints about it, which I understand when it comes to that. But for me personally, I don't really have any problems with this figure. But of course, we'll get more into that later on in the review. But yeah, as of right now, I'm super stoked to have this in my collection. We finally have pretty much the big four carnivores of the Jurassic franchise so far. You know, we got T-Rex, Spinosaurus, the Giga, and now the Indominus. And then hopefully in the incoming years, we can get like the Distortus Rex, maybe the Rebirth Spino, and maybe even the Rebirth T-Rex. But other than that, this is pretty much our last of the big four that we've been needing. And yeah, it looks really good in the packages. I know I've already said that already, but let's take a closer look at the box right here. We got the cool little Jurassic T-Rex skull logo right there, looking really nice. You got a little warning label there. You got the True Effects logo right there. You got the nice little window. We can see a pretty good look at the figure. Then you got a really nice looking render of the Indominus, and the render looks really nice. I really do like the detail on this render. And then you got the title here. You got Jurassic World Hammond Collection Indominus Rex 8+, and the Mattel logo. And here at the top, it just says Jurassic World. Then you got the little T-Rex logo right there. Man, I love the Hammond collection. I think they do awesome. Or Mattel does awesome with the Hammond collection. Here on the side, you got the Hammond collection logo again. And I really like when Mattel does this with the Hammond collection figures. You get a nice little bio of the dinosaur you're getting, plus a little image from the movie to kind of give you a better sense of what this creature looked like in the film. Not only that, but the logo of the movie it's from. So like you said, you got the Hammond collection logo, and you get a nice little image of the Indominus Rex during that scene when it's literally tearing the ACU apart, pretty much just obliterating that entire team. And then here you got a nice little bio of the dinosaur, and it says, after the Indominus Rex escapes from her enclosure, a failed mission to contain her shockingly reveals that she ripped out her own tracking device and has the ability to camouflage. So obviously that's a huge, you know, description of this whole scene in general. So that is really cool. I love when Mattel does this for the Hammond collection. And you got the Jurassic World logo, because this is the movie that the Indominus is from. So really like that. And then here on the side, you got the Hammond collection logo and a bit more of the render of the Indominus. And then here on the back, we got a lot of nice stuff here. You got the Hammond collection logo, Indominus Rex, and the same bio that we got on the side, the Jurassic World logo, the Mattel logo, and a really nice good amount of renders of the figure itself, which the figure looks awesome in these little promotional images. Obviously this pose right here is based off of that one render that you can find online of the Indominus, so that's pretty cool how Mattel kind of recreated that. And speaking of the whole tracking device that was described in the bio, It's actually part of the little gimmick that you have in this figure, that you can actually remove the tracking piece to show that it clawed it out and remembered where, you know, the people at the park put the tracking device in. So that's really cool. And then you got the True Effects premium details for enhanced realism. I think that Mattel does a pretty good job with the details of the Hammond collection figures, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion, of course. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the packaging. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at this awesome figure. Alrighty, so here we have the Hammond collection Indominus Rex out of the package. And in all of its glory here on the table, this figure looks amazing. I really do love this figure. I don't quite understand all the hate that's going towards it, but I kind of understand where people are coming from with certain things that they've been pointing out. But for me personally, I really love this figure, and it is easily by far the best Indominus Rex Mattel has made. This figure is just phenomenal looking, and I'm really happy to have a Hammond collection Indominus Rex in my collection. Just having a bit more detailed and articulated Indominus Rex is a very awesome, and like I said, I'm just really happy to have this in my collection. So going over my overall thoughts on this figure, I really do love it. The sculpt and the detail is really great on this one. It looks pretty identical to the Indominus Rex in the film. Is it 100% accurate to what we see? No, but for what it is still an awesome figure, regardless. So I really do enjoy this one a lot. Just kind of going over the basic detail that we have going on here. The detail is very good on this Indominus. As you can see here on the head, with the mouth wide open, the head just looks really great, and lots of great detail all over the head with the different sizes of scales, especially here at the top. You got some larger scales here, and some smaller ones, and some larger ones kind of sprinkled out throughout the skull. You can see the skull, the holes in the skull defined very nicely. Because, you know, that's how it looked in the film. The little wrinkles above under the eyes look really great as well. The nostrils look great. All this cool little texturing around the head looks really great as well. Pretty much identical to what we see in the film. And you got the two iconic little horns on top of its head, which look really great, nicely detailed. And you got the nice little row of like these scoots along the top of the snout right here. And then as you can see on the back, got some nice amount of osteoderms. The teeth, I know there's a lot of stuff about the teeth, which is probably the only thing that people hate. I understand. I mean, they are definitely longer than they should be, much longer than how they were in the film. So like I said, is this figure 100% accurate? No, but for what we have, I mean, it still looks pretty good. But yeah, you can definitely tell the teeth are definitely pretty large, or not really large, but really long than how they are in the film. And they're actually not that bad in person. I've seen a lot of people say that in their own reviews, that it's actually not that bad in person than what we saw in the images. But yeah, I think the teeth are okay. They're fine from just seeing it in person, so I'm not too bothered by the teeth at all. They're good the way they are. But they are made of a soft rubbery material, so that's really nice too. And they got a lot of nice color on them too. That's like a bit of a yellow color, and you got a bit more of like this, I'm not really sure, like an orange or maybe some like this fleshy color kind of bleeding onto the teeth, which actually kind of gives it off like the teeth are bloody, which the Indominus in the film had a kind of bloody mouth or a dirty mouth throughout the entirety of the film. So that is pretty cool. I really do like that, even if it's not intentional. But yeah, the teeth in the top row look really nice. And then same with the bottom row, they look really good as well. And I really love what Mattel did here with the little teeth on the inside, how they kind of just like stick out of the gum right here, which looks really cool. I really do like that, and how Mattel just kind of made it come through the plastic like that. So I really do love that touch with the teeth. And speaking of the gums, the detail is very nicely done on there. Nice gloss coat for the entirety of the mouth to kind of give it that really nice wet saliva look. Same with the tongue. The tongue, interestingly, it is articulated, so you can make it go up and down, but it's not really made of the softer, rubbery, bendy material that we've gotten on the previous Hammond collection figures. This one's a bit more of a stiff rubber. I wouldn't say it's like full-on plastic, but it's a bit more of a stiff material, and it doesn't really go down too far, so you can't like have it lay against the lower jaw, which is kind of an odd choice, but I'm not really too bothered by it. You got the little gum flaps right here, or like little jaw tendons, which look really nice. You can see a little bit of a tear on mine right here. It's not that big of a deal in my opinion, but they are made of a softer rubbery material, and I think they look pretty darn nice. The detail on the tongue looks really great as well. And here on the other side, they just look, it's pretty much the same, but you know, the jaw and the entire mouth looks really great as well. And as we move on to the neck and the rest of the body itself, you got a lot of great amount of detail all over the entire body, especially with the scales. You got a lot of nice small scales, and you got some larger scales kind of sprinkled throughout the entirety. You know, like the neck right here, and then here on the body, you got some larger scales, and the rest is just all small scales. And you pretty much have small scales throughout the rest of the tail, which looks really great as well. And with the rubbery material on the tail itself, because it is bendy wire, it feels really nice with these sculpted scales, kind of giving it like that really authentic, real feel texture to it. So that's really cool. But yeah, the entirety of the detail on the body looks great. I really do love it. I like the little wrinkles in the skin right here. You can see the little muscle definition on the body. And then the entirety of the back of the Indominus, you got the classic row of osteoderms, or scutes, or whatever you want to call it, going down all the way down to the tip of the tail. So this thing is decked out in osteoderms. That's possibly coming from the Carnotaurus DNA that's part of the Indominus Rex's genome. And yeah, the entirety of the osteoderms and the scutes all over the back look really nice. Really great detail. I really like the way they look. And yeah, I like how they're kind of cluttered here towards the top, and they kind of spread out as they get on the side of the body, so that's really cool. And it pretty much goes down the entirety of the tail, nice rows of osteoderms down the tail, and then they eventually fade into one small little row going down to the tip of the tail, which actually the tail itself isn't exactly 100% accurate either, because the scutes are definitely a lot different in the film than they are on this figure. So it's not entirely the most accurate, because it's got some scutes here, but then they kind of slowly disappear into like a small little row of osteoderms, kind of like this. So Mattel kind of added a bit more scutes on the tail. It's not the worst thing in the world, but I just wanted to point that out. And then you got one of the most famous characteristics of the Indominus Rex, and that is the quills on its back. You got the really nice looking quills on the back of the head and neck, and you got some sprinkled along the back as well, which looks really good. The quills on this one are really good, and definitely a lot better than how Mattel handled them previously, which those weren't bad for the time, but these ones are just like 10 times better. They are made of a softer rubbery material, so they are very bendy, and thus, you know, they're very soft to handle too. They're not very sharp, even though they look very sharp, and I'm pretty sure they are pretty sharp in the movie itself. But yeah, that's really cool. You can see how it's kind of like a separate rubbery piece inserted into the figure itself. But yeah, the quills look really great on this one, and just a lot of great detail. And you got the classic lines going through each of the osteoderms, kind of like little segments, especially on the back, and then here on the neck. So that's kind of a classic characteristic. Got some nice little larger bumps or scales here along the where the neck attaches to the body. And then same thing on the other side, just the same amount of detail. Great scale work, and the detail and the osteoderms and the quills all look really good on this Indominus. Here towards the back of the tail, we got some nice little skin wrinkles right here around the leg, and you've got some nice little lined texturing along the edge of the tail, and a little bit of some kind of muscles poking through the tail itself, which depending on your light source shines very nicely. And then here on the underside of the figure, really great stuff going on here with the scale work. You can see here, I forgot to mention the lower jaw. The scale work looks really good here on the lower jaw, pretty accurate to what we see in the film itself. And then on the underside, you got a really nice amount of scales, and they're kind of like a almost crocodilian shape, which is pretty accurate to what we see in the film itself, at least based on the renders that I've seen. So that is pretty cool. Really nice detail there. I like the little wrinkles along the underside right here of the body, and you know, kind of like little skin wrinkles. So I really do like how they did that. And you got more of that really nice scale detail that goes all the way down throughout the rest of the body and all the way to the tip of the tail, which the scale work is just amazing on this figure. Mattel did an excellent job with the detail on this Indominus. Now moving on to the arms look really good, really long and muscular, just like how they were portrayed in the film. Really great detail, the scales throughout the entirety of the arm, nice amount of muscle definition throughout the arms themselves, and you got that really nice amount of quills on the side of the or the lower side of the arm right here, which these are not actually rubber. These are actually molded into the plastic of this arm. So as you can see, they are just kind of molded in place. They aren't like a separate attached piece, which is probably explains why they're a bit more stiff and less bendy, whereas the ones up here are a bit more of a rubbery, bendy material. These ones are a lot more stiff. So I can see these possibly maybe snapping in the future if you handle this figure too much. But I'm not too worried about it. I don't really rough house with my figures. They just sit on shelves. I pose them around a lot, take them out for pictures, so I'm not too worried about if they do snap. But if they do, I mean, I know that it is possible, I would say. Here on the hands look really great. They look just like the creepy looking hands that we see on the Indominus in the film. They kind of like that kind of creepy grabbing look to it. It's got the little thumb right there, which I remember being so like super interested in the fact that this is like the first Jurassic dinosaur to have like an actual posable thumb, which is pretty interesting if you think about. I mean, I know the Pachycephalosaurus had a thumb, but for hands like this is like the first in my opinion. But yeah, the hands look really great. I like the way the fingers are designed. You got really nice sharp claws on all the fingers, nice scoots along the fingers themselves. And the hands are made of a softer rubbery material, so they are very bendy. So that's a difference right there. It's a bit more of a rubbery hand, whereas everything else is kind of more of a harder plastic. Except for this arm, it feels like a different material than what we get on this arm, or this part of the arm right here. So there are some different pieces of plastic that Mattel's been using with this Indominus. But yeah, the hands look really great on this one. I like the poses that the fingers are in. And then lastly, we get to the legs right here. Really great amount of detail in the legs. Lots of great detail in the scales, which look really nice. You can see the nice amount of muscle definition and some nice little wrinkles on the thigh right here, which looks really great. And you got some nice larger scales kind of sprinkled throughout the rest of the leg. And you got some nice detail for the kneecap right here, nice line texturing, and it pretty much goes through the rest of the leg. Really nice scales sculpted throughout. You got some really nice, larger pebble looking scales here on the back of the calf right here. And then as we move down to the ankle and then to the foot, nice amount of small detail in these scales. You got the nice scoots along each of the toes and as it goes up the foot. And the detail for the foot itself looks really good. Nice, large, sharp claws and nice amount of detail in the scales. And it's pretty much just line texturing for the bottom of the foot, but you also got the little Jurassic logo right there, which looks good. And here on the other side of the foot, you got the little dew claw, which looks really great. Sadly, the dew claw the dew claw is not painted. Would have been painted the same color as the claws here on the toes, but I mean, we've gotten this with the Spinosaurus. But surprisingly, they did paint the dew claw for the T-Rex and the Giga, so kind of weird that they didn't do it on this figure. Which also, speaking of paint, the claws are actually not painted. They're just painted the same color as the brown on the fingers. So I guess it kind of gives off the illusion that they are painted claws, but you can also tell that they aren't painted, or else they would have been the same color as the toe claws right here. But you know, it's not the end of the world, I would say. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the detail of this Indominus, and the detail is just phenomenal on this figure. So really great detail. The colors, a lot of people had a problem with the colors as well. Like it's not white enough, because I know the Indominus Rex is a pretty white colored dinosaur. So yeah, I can kind of see where they're coming from, that it's not like super white. But for the most part, I think it captures the look of it very nicely. I mean, the Indominus Rex isn't like a full-on clean white. It is very dirty. So it's like a dirty white. So it kind of has like those grayish brown color tones to it, which even if you look at some of the renders of the movie, you can see that it's not just white. There is some like browns and blacks kind of mixed into the color. So it kind of gives it like that really dirty white. And I think Mattel did an excellent job with that color on this Indominus Rex figure. So I think the colors are pretty good. I'm not complaining about it at all. But yeah, the colors look great. You pretty much got like this really like a light gray color for the entirety of the figure, which kind of gives off like a white color, but it's more of like a gray, which makes sense. And then you got some browns for like the top of the body. As you can see, some of these scoots are made of like are painted in like a darker brown, and you got some like dark brown dry brushing kind of on the top of the body, so it kind of highlights a lot of the scales, which looks really good, by the way. and that continues all the way down to at least majority of these little scoots kind of disappear, and then the rest of these are not painted, but it's not that big of a deal in my opinion. And even the quills are molded in that brown color as well, which actually blends in very nicely in my opinion. And then here at the on the skull, you got a bit more of like a different shade of brown, maybe like a black of some sort, highlighting the holes in the skull right here. You got some here around this part of the skull, here around the eye, which kind of highlights the eye very nicely. And you got some here on this hole as well. And even the eyes are nicely painted. Now these are not glass eyes this time, which is kind of a bummer. I really do like the glass eyes. They kind of give it a bit more of a realistic look, but I mean the painted eyes, if they're done right, they look pretty good as well. So yeah, this little orangish reddish color with the black slit pupil looks really good, and it does actually make it look pretty menacing. So for it not being a glass eye, it looks really nice, and it has like a bit of a glossy coat to it, so it kind of gives it like that lifelike shine to it. So that looks really cool. I really do like that a lot. You also got a bit more of like a really light gray, or maybe a light grayish white dry brushing for the top of the skull right here, which looks really nice as well. Kind of hard to see during the sunlight right here, but hopefully you guys can kind of see it. But you got a bit more of like a light dry brushing for the top of the skull right here, which highlights the detail very nicely. So I really do like that. And you get a bit more of like that white dry brushing here along the thigh, or at least along this part of the leg, which looks really good, highlights a lot of the detail pretty nicely. So I think it has like really cool color contrast when you have different colors working together like this. And the same thing could be shown on this part of the leg, which the dry brushing looks pretty nice on this one as well. You also got a bit more like that brown color for the body for the tips of the hands right here and the fingers, which looks really great as well. Kind of gives off the illusion that the claws are painted, like I said. And you got a bit more of like that brown coat for the toes themselves, and then a different darker shade of brown or a black even for like the toe claws. So really nice detail with the color choices on this figure. It's not just a plain white figure. It's got some dirty browns to it to kind of give it a bit more of a lifelike look to it, especially a bit more lifelike to what we got in the film. On the underside, we do got a bit more of a white color, light color, kind of like what we got with the dry brushing here on the underside. At least it goes from this part of the neck and it goes all the way down to before the tail. So you got some nice colors right there. Kind of makes it break off from like the main grayish color that we got on the body. So you got a lot of nice color choices going on here, and I really do appreciate that. Now we get on to the face, which again, we've kind of pretty much gone over it, but we got some more detail here. You got a bit more of like a pink color along the upper part of the edge of the upper jaw right here, which looks really good. Hopefully you guys can kind of see it, a bit more of like a pink fade up here, which kind of gives it off like there's more gums up there. You can see it more on this side as well, which looks really good. And I kind of explained this, but the teeth are nicely colored as well. Kind of like this nice yellowish color with some like little reds mixed into it to kind of give it like a dirty color, maybe a bloody color. And then the colors for the inside of the mouth are very nice as well. A bit more of like a pink fleshy color. Kind of a different shade for the gum tendons, but for the tongue and the inside of the mouth, it's kind of a bit more of like a reddy, like a, not reddy, but a reddish, you know, pinkish color. Kind of giving it like the usual color that you see on the inside of the mouths of most of these dinosaurs. And it has a nice glossy coat, so it gives it like that really nice wet appearance. And with it, the mouth open, it just looks so menacing. It looks so good. So I really do love the way it looks on this figure. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the colors and the detail of this Indominus. Now for some nice little features that this Indominus has, it does come with like a little breakaway battle damage piece right here, as well as some extra hands. So this little damage piece right here is from the movie when the Indominus Rex clawed its tracking implant out, which much like the classic Kenner figures, you can just pop this out just like that, and it can just fall into place. And yeah, really awesome detail for this wound right here. It's like very fleshy and just kind of gross looking, which looks really great. And the paint detail is awesome as well. It's kind of like a light pinkish color with maybe like a dark red wash over it to kind of give it like that really like wet, bloody look to it, which looks really great. I mean, it's a huge gash on the side of its body, so I know for sure the gash was not that big in the movie. So it's very noticeable on this figure than it was in the film, but it's a really cool gimmick, and I really do love the way it looks. And then you got the little plastic piece right here that it comes with. You got the nice little scaly piece of the outside of the skin right here, which looks really good. And on the inside, you got that nice pinkish, fleshy color painted on the inside, and you got this little tracking implant embedded in there, which almost looks like a medicine pill in my opinion. But it's a nice detail there too. Got a kind of more of a see-through glossy look up there, and a bit more of a green piece down there. So that's really cool. You can have your little character hold this if you want to say that they found the little tracking piece before the Indominus Rex completely obliterates them, and it can simply just go in super easily just like that. And it's actually pretty blends in there pretty nicely in my opinion. I mean, you can still notice that it's there, but at least it's a kind of a cool way to have it displayed without having a gash be there. And then it's got some extra hands here, 2 extra hands, both left and right. Now these fingers right here, this hand is supposed to be the grasping hand, as if it was to grab a person like it did in the film. And these other hands here are just more of like the traditional, you know, just claw looking hands, I guess. I don't know how to really explain it, but yeah, these ones, there isn't a whole lot of difference with the hands, but you can definitely tell there's a difference in the way the fingers look, in my opinion. So this one's more of a grabbing, and it's actually looks like there's a different shade of brown on these separate hands than these ones. These ones more of a you know, the main shade you got on the rest of the body, and then this shade of brown on these swappable hands looks like the same shade that we get like on the skull, those little dark pieces on the skull. So that's pretty interesting how they're not the same. But yeah, let's go ahead and try to switch out one of these little pieces right here. Okay, it took some force, but I managed to get one of the hands out, and this is what it looks like when the hand is out. You can see the little articulated piece, the little peg right here, that just simply goes into that little hole. And if we were to take one of the little closed hands, you can simply just put it in there, and it should be pretty easy to snap in. Yeah, so it's, you gotta give it some force, but it does work. So there you go. You got the little different, you know, clawed hand look. This one's the closed fist one. So yeah, that is a pretty cool gimmick. I like how there's different hands to be swapped with, and I know the Scorpius Rex has something similar with that as well. So yeah, I really do like that a lot. Alrighty, so now for articulation. The articulation is really nice on this one. So starting off with the head, you get each of the head, the lower and the top part can each move individually. So first, the tongue can move up and down, just like that. The top jaw here can go down about that far, so you kind of make it look down a little bit. So it can basically go up and down. You might want to be careful because you don't want to break the tendons, which is something that I don't want to have happen ever in my figures. So you got to be very careful with those. The lower jaw, just like it, can go up about that far and then down about that far. But you can close them together, and there you go. You got the little closed head pose, which looks really good, by the way. And I like how the teeth just perfectly interlock with each other. I know it doesn't stay closed. I think it might be the little tendons up there kind of preventing it from closing all the way. But still, if you were to hold it closed like this, the teeth interlock with each other very nicely. So I really do love that. So yeah, with its mouth open or even closed, the detail just looks really good. And I just love the way the teeth look when they close. That looks so cool. Now for the top part of the head right here, it can go up about that far. It can't go too far because the little scoots right here kind of touch this part, so it can't really go any further. And it can go down, so kind of up and down, not a whole lot. But it can also swivel 360, so that's really good. And I guess also it can move side to side, so that's really cool as well. I really wish some of the other dinosaurs had that. And then you got this part of the joint of the neck that can go up about that far. Not too far because the quills kind of touch the rest of the body, and it can go down about that far. So you got some really nice neck articulation, which even together, you can make it look up pretty nicely and down. This part of the neck can also rotate, somewhat stiff, but it gets the job done. And it also rotates side to side, so you can make this Indominus look all sorts of different directions, left and right, which looks really good. I really do love and it's very fluent too, surprisingly. So I really do like that. That is awesome. And then for the arms right here, here are the shoulders. They can just move in and out like that, as well as forwards and backwards. The elbows right here, they can just move forward and backwards, as well as rotate 360. The little wrists right here can also swivel 360, and they can move up and down like that. And then moving on to the legs. The legs have a really good ratchet feel to it, so it'll be good for just stability and all that, but it basically just moves forwards and backwards. They can also somewhat pivot in and out a little bit. Then you got the knee joint right here, which can move forward and backwards, as well as rotate. And then you got the little ankles, which are actually very stiff on mine, but luckily I got them loosened up this morning. They do move forwards and backwards. Very stiff though, but they, you know, you get the idea. They just move forward and backwards like that, and they rotate as well. So nice amount of articulation there. And of course the foot themselves can move forward and backwards like that, and they also can rotate 360. So you got really great articulation for the legs. Trying to get mine in a good position. All right, and then lastly for the tail, it can go not really up, surprisingly, but it can go down pretty far. It can also move side to side, and it can rotate 360, but also is made of a softer rubber, so there is a bendy wire in it, which the bendy wire actually works pretty good. It's not as fluent as the Giga, in my opinion. I feel like the Giga had like the best rubber tail, in my opinion, but you know, you can get the tail to go into crazy positions if you really want it to, even if these little distracting crinkles in the skin kind of, you know, doesn't make it look too natural. But you can also, excuse me, fix it in place when you're done. So that's really nice. And yeah, that's pretty much it for articulation. So let's go ahead and take a look at some comparisons. Alrighty, so to kick off comparisons, we're going to compare the Hammond collection Indominus Rex with the only other two mainline Indominus Rexes that we have from Mattel, or at least that I have. I know there's been quite a few of them, but these are the only other two that I have from Mattel. And as you can see, there's a huge difference between the sculpt and even just the detail, and of course the colors between all of these. But yeah, obviously the colors, you know, the newer one's a bit more of a darker tone, sure, but I mean, they're actually not too, you know, different from each other in terms of color tones. So yeah, the Hammond collection one is by far the best Indominus Rex from Mattel. Here with the very first Indominus Rex that Mattel has made, as you can see, there's a huge difference between these ones as well. This one I kind of had to stand up because this one just will not stand on its own anymore. But you can see there's a difference in the skull shapes as well. Very different. I will say the mainline Indominus Rexes probably had the better size of teeth, in my opinion. They're a bit more smaller, a bit more accurate to what we got in the film, but everything else goes to the Hammond collection. So yeah, as you can see, the detail with all of these is just pretty phenomenal, in my opinion, just to see how different each one is. And finally, last but not least, this is probably my most anticipated comparison I wanted to do ever since getting the Indominus. And here it is, the Indominus Rex compared with the other large Hammond collection carnivores we have gotten. The T-Rex, the Giganotosaurus, and the Spinosaurus. And in addition to that, we have Velociraptor Blue and Alan Grant as an, you know, to add to the, you know, just the scale of how big these figures are. And I think they look awesome together. This is an awesome setup here. I think these are just super cool, and I'm super happy to have all of these giant carnivores together. And yeah, it just makes me happy just seeing all these together. It definitely puts a smile on my face. And yeah, I just really love what I'm seeing right here. You can just see how massive they are compared to a human right there. I only put Blue there because obviously Blue faced off against the Indominus, so it's, you know, it makes sense to add Blue to there. And then comparing it with the Spino and the Giga, And even the T-Rex, you can just tell just how massive this thing is. Obviously, the poor T-Rex is the smallest one out of all of these. So yeah, the T-Rex always gets beaten up by these other big bad predators. Yeah, I love what we have here, and I'm really hoping that I don't know what we're gonna get for the large dinosaur we're gonna get for the Hammond collection next year. Who knows what it could be? It could be the Distortus Rex, it could be the Rebirth Spino, maybe even the Rebirth T-Rex. We don't know yet, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what the next one's gonna be, and I can't wait to add it to my collection. So yeah, all of these look awesome. And for fun, as you can see, the Indominus Rex's little closed hand piece fits perfectly with human figures, so you can make it look like it's picking up a human. In this case, poor Alan Grant is being picked up by the Indominus. And this is really cool. This is gonna make picture taking a lot of fun with the different hand accessories that this Indominus has. So that is really cool how you can create something like this. So everyone, that's about to wrap it up for this review. Sorry if it is a long one. There is a lot to talk about with this Indominus. And yeah, for my final thoughts, I really do love this figure. I know it has a lot of hate out there, which is pretty sad, but for me personally, I really do love this figure. I think it's an awesome figure, an awesome Indominus Rex from Mattel, definitely the best from them. And I just love everything about this figure, the detail, the sculpt, the colors are really good as well, and obviously you cannot go wrong with the articulation and just the fun possibilities you can have with playing around with this figure when it comes to, you know, posing it around and all that. And the little battle damage gimmick that it has and the swappable hands, that is actually really cool. I really do enjoy that. So yeah, I really do enjoy this Indominus a lot. Sure, the teeth do look a bit longer than they should be, but to me in person, they don't look that bad at all. So I wouldn't say it's like the worst thing in the world. But yeah, I'm really happy with this figure. I'm happy Mattel's given us a Hammond collection Indominus. And yeah, this will be right at home in my collection, and I just gotta find a spot for it on my shelf to put it at. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again for the next video.